Hey, Lindsay.
Hey Dan, how's it going?
It's going good. How are you?
I'm great.
It's
So
good
good
to
to
see you in the virtual world.
be in the virtual world, the one we live in.
Have you been holding up? You all good?
I've been good. It's been a crazy time as it has been for everybody.
Yeah.
Um, but I've been good. Just taking one day at a time and trying my best to keep my head on straight. How have you been?
I've been good, thank you. It's currently like 31 degrees Celsius in the UK, which is really, really hot. So we're all like
Ooh,
melted at the moment.
that
It's
is
crazy.
so hot. That's
We've
crazy.
we've got like 2 days of summer this week, and then that'll be it
Yeah.
for us. Uh,
Wow.
yeah, it's pretty crazy.
That is craziness. That is so hot.
How are things in Nashville at the moment? Are you kind of getting back to some sort of normality at the minute?
I mean, a little bit. Things started opening up a little bit here, and I haven't really been doing too much, but I've been to a couple of patios, I guess,
Yeah.
which has been nice, just to kind of feel like we're a little bit back to normal. Um, but it's just such a weird time, you know. I still just have been kind of staying at home um, and trying to just be safe. And I have been actually pretty busy. Like at the beginning of quarantine, we finished our last band tracking session the day before Nashville shut down. And so now it's been, my goodness, it's been like at the beginning of quarantine it was like 16-hour days in the studio, just go, 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 trying to get
Mm.
the record done. And then it went into, putting the package together and now doing press. And so I've honestly been so busy in like a great way. But it's been like go, 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 go.
Yeah.
Which I like that.
Well, how have you kind of embraced this whole Zoom writing, Zoom interview thing? Do you kind of like it? Is it something you want to carry on with after this, or are you ready to get back to normal now?
There are so many parts of this whole quarantine time that I cannot wait to get back to normal, like shows, playing shows in front of a live audience. I'm over the live stream show thing on the couch. But I will say that I think coming out of this quarantine, we are going to learn so much about ourselves. We are going to you know, at least I definitely have learned about prioritizing the things in my life that are important. Who are really your close few friends that you've been talking to and having deep conversations with, and to teach us to do our jobs more efficiently. I mean, although Zooms sometimes get frustrating, um, it's so much better to really look at your job and be like, okay, how could I do this more efficiently? And so the Zoom thing is kind of a blessing and a curse, because yes, it sometimes does get annoying, but it's also so cool how it brings our world together. I feel more connected right now to my team than I ever have been in my life. I mean, we've always had the internet. It's not
Yeah.
like it's new, but like in one given day, we talk to our team in the UK, our team in Australia, our team in Canada, our team in New York, our team in LA, and it's just like, and our team in Nashville, like everybody. And so I just feel like we're so much more connected right now.
Mm.
And so in a way, the Zoom meetings and Zoom interviews is kind of awesome.
And you just obviously bringing people together. You've been doing these living well things on YouTube, which have
I
been really, really cool.
have.
And you've brought
Very
together
good.
so many amazing guests. So tell us how fun that's been for you and how rewarding that's been to connect with so many different personalities.
Yeah, you know what? It's been so rewarding to be able to just invest in something, Dan. Like at the beginning of quarantine, I was sort of like, okay, I'm used to playing 235 shows a year. I'm used to being on the road 280 days. This is very different from my normal. And so I've just been really trying to learn from that. And I was like, might as well start a weekly talk show where I can interview my friends. And, I started Living Well originally because there was just so much negative news. And news will always, have the two sides of the coin. But I just felt like when you turned on your TV, it was always just like, whew, this is a lot right now. And I was like, I'm just going to start a little weekly show to only talk about positive things. And I'm like, I'll bring on my friends, I'll interview my friends, and we'll only talk about positive news or what's going good in your life. We all know the not so good in our lives right now, but what is going good in your life? And so that's how Living Well got started. And since then, it's just turned into such a fun thing. I'm getting to really interview some people that I never thought I would even get to talk to, let alone hear their story and really dig deep with them. You know, from releasing my song Make You, I got to launch my foundation a few weeks ago. It's called the Make You Movement. And, you know, it's Make You is the first time I talked about my story as a little girl. And we can get into the backstory of that in a minute. But it's been really rewarding with Living Well to be able to dig a little bit deeper because of the Make You Movement, with certain guests and truly get to that next level of, you know, of for sure healing within myself and being able to heal everybody who watches it, hopefully through them digging deeper in their self. So it's been very rewarding, and I'm very excited to see where I can grow this brand in the future and all the good that can come from it.
Yeah. Well, as you've mentioned, Mikey, we must talk about the new album. It's out on August 14th, and it must be such an exciting time for you because it's such a deep personal album. Does it almost feel like you've got this kind of weight on your shoulders that's just about to be lifted and shown to the world? It must be a strange
Yeah.
feeling.
I've been working on this record for the better part of 3 years. And, you know, my last album I released 3 years ago, and I cannot believe it's been that long already, but time flies when you're having fun. And you know, it was halfway through writing this record when I was like, I'm writing these songs in the order of how I'm feeling them. And this transformative process that I'm going through right now, I'm like writing these songs in the order. And I'm like, how cool would it be to write a record in order? You know, there's this thing called the 7 stages of grief. It is one of the ways that as human beings we process things and go through things in life. And I'm such a nerd about all that stuff. I love reading up about it and I love learning about it. And I was like, would it be cool if I wrote a concept album around the 7 stages of grief? So track 1 could start in stage 1 of shock, and then it goes in order of shock, denial, anger, all the way down to the bottom of acceptance. Track 12 being an acceptance of being able to fully look in the mirror and accept yourself for everything that you are, accept everything that has happened to you in your life up until this point, because it's made you into the beautiful puzzle pieces that we are. And yet you're finally open and ready to new things, to new opportunities. And so that's what I did. So I wrote this record as sort of my journey and my storybook, my diary for this time in my life. You know, not specifically about one relationship, but really about heartbreak in general in my life, and learning from it and digging deeper and exploring and processing things in my childhood, like with the song Make You. And so I'm so excited. I'm so excited to release this album into the world because I really want it to help people. I think that music has the power to do that. I think it's the universal language that can bring us together. And if I can help inspire, you know, even somebody to dig deeper into themselves and help them go through their own transformation process and be like, this is my journey and this is how I did it. Now go find out yours. Then I will feel like I accomplished something.
Well, a big favourite of mine on the new album is the opening track, "Hits Me," because my favourite track on the last album was "Castle," so it's kind of got that similar.
Yes, speaking my damn,
and
the same taste.
And you wrote that one with Tyler from FGL and Corey Crowder, and it's maybe a little bit different to what you would expect those guys to write as well. It's very much you. So tell us about how that song came together and why it was a good fit to start the album.
You know, I love being able to write with writers that, you know, I live in Nashville. We have arguably some of the most talented writers in the world. And yet it's been so cool to write with some artists on this record where I know them so well from their show, their live show, their, you know, their persona on stage, their songs. They're like amazing fathers and husbands, but to get to know them on a songwriter level, it's been so interesting and so intriguing and really inspiring, because Tyler Hubbard is such a good songwriter. He's such a good songwriter, and he's so good at sitting down with an artist and like truly navigating what they want to say in their world, in their voice. And so it was so inspiring to be able to sit down with Tyler and Corey and write Hits Me. It was the first day I knew walking out of the studio that we had written something special. And I didn't know necessarily that I had started record officially, but I remember that feeling being like, okay, today is important. And I don't know why yet, but today is important. And so, yeah, writing with Tyler was so much fun. You know, likewise, writing with Kane Brown on Want Me Back, same thing. Like I've played so many shows with Kane. I've gotten to see his show. I look up to him as an artist for everything that he's built, but getting to know him as a songwriter behind all of that has just been so cool. I mean, I have so much respect for him and Tyler, and just they're so smart. They're so smart. And I was really grateful to be able to collaborate with a lot of incredible writers on this project.
One of those writers I have to speak to you about is Brandy Clark on How Good and Make You, because Brandy, for me, is just one of the greatest songwriters of our generation. It goes without saying. So tell us about that experience of actually being in a writing room with Brandy and how good she is creatively. What makes her so good as a songwriter?
So, you know, Brandy and I have been friends for a few years, and you know, we've been on Sugarland tours together. We toured the world last year, you know, all throughout. I think we were in Europe together, and then we went to Australia, New Zealand, and Japan together. And I just always look up to Brandy as one of the best songwriters as well. I call her the female John Prine, because she is just so prolific. She's like so gifted with words, and you know, I wrote a couple songs with Brandy on this album. A couple of my favorites, you know, How Good is one of my faves on the project, as well as Make You, which is arguably one of the most important songs on the record. And I went to this place called Youth for Tomorrow 3 years ago to help them launch their music program. And Youth for Tomorrow is an organization in the States that deals with kids aged 12 to 18 who have gotten into the wrong circumstances or have become survivors and victims of sex trafficking and rape. And so I went to help them launch their music program, and I ended up sitting down in a conference room with 12 other little girls. And I told them my story, and I heard their story. And Dan, they are things that were just so horrific. Like, this 12-year-old girl was sitting beside me, and she was like, yeah, my parents sold me to a sex trafficking company when I was little. And you're just like, what? And here's this beautiful 12-year-old little girl sitting beside me with so much light in her eyes and in her heart. And I'm just like, okay, if I don't talk about my story right now, then I'm holding back the opportunity to help little girls like that, or to help little boys like that, or to help grown adults, because I feel like this happens far more than any of us want to realize. As a survivor, we hold so much shame and guilt sometimes around these experiences that oftentimes it takes us a long time to even talk about it, to garner the courage to talk about it, even to some of our closest family members. I mean, it took me 7 years to tell my parents. Wow. And so, you know, I remember if I would have had somebody to hold my hand as 13-year-old Lindsay or 21-year-old Lindsay and just say, it's going to be okay. Don't worry, it's going to be okay. I feel like I would have healed so much faster. And so, you know, my intention to talk about my story for the first time, I left that place being like, all right, now's the time to do it. And I've tried to write songs about this so many times, and they always just ended up being so dark and so deep and so heavy. And so I called up Brandy and said, Brandy, I need to write this song, and I would love to write it with you if you would feel comfortable. And it took her a few seconds. Fearless Brandy Clark. And she was like, I would be honored to write this story. Thank you for having the courage to want to talk about this. Like, yes, I'm in. And so we got together, and the song was written in a matter of a couple hours. It just fell out. And it is one of the most important moments on this album because of that. And I'm just so grateful that I was able to launch a foundation out of it. And it's just growing into this own thing, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, very cool. And I also wanted to speak to you about body language of a breakup as well, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
You wrote that with Laura Veltz and Sam Ellis. And what I love about that song is it's a very familiar subject, but you've done it in a totally different way to how it's ever been done before, which is obviously your goal as a songwriter, I guess, when you go into a writing room. So tell us about the writing session that day and where that kind of idea came from.
Sam Ellis is a buddy of mine. He's my fellow Canuck from Canada. And so we've just kept in touch since we've both been in Nashville, but we've just recently started writing together more. And Laura Veltz has always been one of my songwriting heroes in town, just because she's so good. She's so good. Like, writing with her, you're just like, damn, woman. Like, you just channel things, and it's so impressive. And she just has a really unique perspective a lot of times from songs. And so I love writing with her, and getting the three of us in the room. I remember I was midway through the 7 stages of grief. I was like coming through to the other side of it. And we just got in this conversation that it's like, it's so funny how you have such a clear perspective when you look at other people's relationships and your friends, your family, whatever, whoever it is. And you can easily be like, no, that's not a good situation for you. Or yes, that's a great situation for you. You can easily see black versus white, right versus left. You can just, it's so clear. And then when it comes to your own life, sometimes you are completely blindfolded. And although it should be very obvious, and in hindsight, it's very obvious, in the moment, you're like, well, but I like them and I love them. And it's just so confusing. It is so confusing trying to reflect that clear perspective back in your own life. And so we wanted to write a song about it, because I just think it's something that hasn't been talked about a lot.
Oh, very cool. So are there any other songs apart from the ones that we've mentioned that really stand out to you as ones that you're looking forward to people hearing? The one that's particularly means a lot to you, that's maybe deep into the album that hasn't been out there yet?
Yeah, there's a song called Good on You. It basically talks about when your ex moves on and gets into another relationship. And I just think that's such a vulnerable time. And yet, when I was feeling those things, I was filled with so many mixed emotions, because it's like, if you spend a portion of your life with somebody, you care about them still in some way, and you want them to be happy. And so that's completely what I was feeling. I was like, whoa, I'm so happy for you, because you look so happy. And it's painful at the same time, because it's like, for sure, like, all ties are severed, but you're so happy for them. So it's like, you kind of hate how happy you are, but you're still happy. But you hate it for your own self, because you're like, well, I'm still lonely, but I'm so happy they're happy. And so I really wanted to write a song. And funny enough, I wrote that with Sam Ellis as well, and Mika. And we just got into the feels that day. And we're like, okay, we're going to write a song about this, of how awesome and terrible it feels at the same time.
That's awesome. And just before I let you go, Lindsay, because I know we're running out of time, I could literally speak to you all day. But moving away from the album a little bit, I noticed that Tucker Bethard posted something on his Facebook yesterday about a little video that you two have done for Faithful. So tell us how that came about and how much fun it was to work with Tucker, because he's an amazing artist. I love Tucker.
Tucker is so awesome. I've always looked up to him and respected him. And, the first time I heard Faithful, I was just like, man, what a song. This is so good. And so when he asked me if I would do a version with him, I was like, yes, Tuck, of course. So it's been so much fun. I love our version. It's out today, I think, officially. And I just, anything I can do to support him, I just think he's has so much depth to his writing, to his life. And he's truly an artist that people should check out. He's so talented.
Absolutely. Well, Lindsay, I'm going to let you go, because we've done like 20 minutes and I don't want to keep you all day.
So fine. Dan, it's such a pleasure to talk to you.
It's a pleasure to talk to you as always. Always such an easy interview.
Thank you. You're so sweet.
Best of luck with the album. I'm sure it's going to do so well for you. And I'll hopefully see you over here pretty soon once all this rubbish is over.
Dan, the first moment I can get on a plane and come over, I will be on that plane. So you can just bet your bottom dollar that I'm counting down the seconds.
Keeping our fingers crossed. But Lindsay, thanks so much for doing this today. Appreciate your time. And
Thanks so much, Dan. I appreciate you.